Hi, everybody. My name is Zach Pava, and I'm a senior admissions counselor with Insight Education. I've been with Insight for nearly 8 years now. As we look ahead and try to figure out what is the best way to spend their summer. And to be honest, this is going to vary by student. We're going to talk about the different kinds of choices that you can make throughout, whether it's course selection or whether it is test prep, whether it is internships or finding a job, and how you can build on some of those opportunities so that you can have a very well-rounded application later, but also a terrific experience over the summer at a time during those precious few months when you actually are away from school. So let's dig a little more deeply into some of these options. As I mentioned a moment ago, many students will be taking courses over the course of the summer. Even within that category, there are many different reasons why someone might be taking a course. I have students who are taking a class to make up a grade at school. Perhaps they didn't pass one of their classes or they had to withdraw. This might be an opportunity to make up that class over the summer when there are fewer things going on. Some students will take a course to prepare for a very challenging course that they're hoping to take the next year. I have a student, I just had this conversation with them the other night about how best to get ready for AP Chemistry, which is going to be a really tough class for them as a junior, and how they can stay ahead of the curve over the summer before their junior year. So they feel really prepared and have already done some of the textbook reading when they actually get into that course. And then there's just students who want to do this to get a GPA boost. I have many students who, while they're doing well, may want to boost. They want to bring their GPA up by a point, by 2 points, by 3 points. They might be taking 1 or 2 classes over the summer for that reason. And that can be a really great way to spend your time and demonstrate to colleges that you actually do care about your academics and that you're trying to take the steps to be successful down the road. Another major area beyond coursework is volunteering. And this is an area that's not, it's interesting. Some students volunteer just to volunteer. I've definitely seen those situations. Colleges are very good, college admissions officers, at trying to establish whether a student is doing something because they love it or just to pad their resume, right? And this comes up a lot. And it's not a right or wrong, but we want to help students to figure out what are the opportunities that actually are worth their time so they can have some fun with the process. And we will give students a large list of volunteering options to check out. I tend to find that it's a contact sport. And what I mean by that is that the more places you reach out to, the more likely it is that you're going to receive a response. I know that can be difficult, especially for students who've never been through that type of process. But the reality is you might reach out to 15 different places with volunteering opportunities and you might hear back from 2 or 3, right? And so you want to take those steps. You want to be proactive. You want to follow up with a phone call if you haven't heard via email in the week prior. So this is a question that comes up a lot. In internship, I almost want to put it in quotes because it's a word that gets tossed around a lot and it means different things to different people. Typically with an internship, you're looking to apply things that you've learned in a classroom setting or from other experiences to real world problems. You want to learn about how a professional setting works. You are hoping to explore different areas of interest or perhaps just figure out what it is that you want to do down the road. But the point at the end of the day is to gain some relevant experience. Often you will have an application process where you have to write essays and gather recommendation letters. But this varies in comparison to research, which can be no less important or effective for students. Often I will have my clients reach out to college professors, and I have had students who've had an amazing experiences working with professors at Caltech and at Berkeley and at MIT, working on a specific project that is appealing to them. Sometimes it starts simply as data entry or helping with that kind of thing. It's a little bit more, perhaps mundane to some students, but as you get to know the professor and as you develop a rapport, you have more opportunities, more responsibilities. And I've even had students who will end up getting into the same college that the professor they were doing research with works at. And that can be really cool as they continue to move forward. Now, many students also ask, should I get a job? And it's important to clarify the distinction between advantages of a job versus doing something else. Of all of the, I think that's sort of the last option that many students consider off the bat. And I find myself recommending to a lot of students that having a paid job, doing something professionally can really be a wonderful experience. I've had students in full-time jobs, students in part-time jobs. I still remember this one student I worked with a few years ago who was exceptional in all STEM related fields. He had straight A's since birth, and he had done exceptionally well on his tests. And over the summer, we opted to have him apply to local jobs at Yogurtland, at Chipotle, where he ended up working and having an amazing experience. He learned responsibility for the first time, and he learned how to be somewhere on time. And he was, being promoted quickly. Eventually, he was an assistant manager, and he was managing other people's schedules and balancing all the, things that he has to do within that position, while also earning money to use down the road when he needs college. And he ended up going to school at UCLA. And because Chipotle is, as I'm sure most of you know, are everywhere, once he was able to go off to school, he actually had a job waiting for him, which was pretty awesome. He basically transferred from one store to another so he could continue to make headway there. And that was a really great thing. Now, sometimes there are age restrictions. Even in a normal year, if you're not 15 or if you're not 16, sometimes you don't have the opportunity to work at certain locations, and that's perfectly okay. Recently, I had a student, and I'm so proud of him. This is something I don't even think he would have been at the point to consider as recently as a year ago. But he was trying to figure out his interests away from school, and he has been watching TED Talks and YouTube videos about becoming a barber, how to develop that skill. And what we have done is have him set up his own little business in his driveway. Granted, again, he's in California, so you could do that sort of year round with the weather. But we ordered supplies, and he has everything he needs, and he has a very careful system in terms of balancing out schedules, making sure no two people are there at the same time. Within his first week of doing this, he already has two brand new clients, which is pretty amazing. He's starting in his neighborhood and, just developing this through word of mouth. And the early reports, I've actually seen some pictures. He's doing amazing with it. If I had more hair, I would have him cut mine. So it's a really cool thing that he's developing right now. But at the end of the day, it depends on your profile, it depends on your priority.